Hey, this is Jason Hawes from Sci-Fi Channel's Ghost Hunters. And you're listening to The Alternate Route Podcast.
Look, I know the supernatural is something that isn't supposed to happen. It does happen.
A ghostly apparition in the dark of night.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
Hey there, ponderers of the paranormal. You have found the PARAnomaly ZONE, your place for all things paranormal, unexplained, odd, and mysterious. My name is Patrick Koffenberg. I am responsible for these shenanigans, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host with the ghosts. Oh, let's see here. The audio challenged Mike Carbno. The audio challenged. Now, what the hell do you mean by audio challenged, you may be asking out there in internet land? Well, Mike can't hear me, apparently.
I can hear you.
You can hear me now, but...
Yes, I was in the zone.
He was, and not the proper zone, not the PARAnomaly ZONE. He was in some, I don't know what the hell. Where were you? What zone was it? The silent zone?
No, PARAnomaly ZONE.
Okay.
I was just, just looking for spectral beings
Okay.
while you were speaking.
I understood.
And I still have some in my throat, I think.
Yes, that's okay. That's okay. You do sound a lot better, though. You sound a lot better compared to the prior episode when we got the chat with the awesome Dustin Perry. It's always a pleasure talking with Dustin. Yeah. I'm sure
I
everyone
think Dustin chuckled at me a little bit.
Yeah. Well, he's always putting a positive spin on everything, and so
yeah, it was great. I always love talking to that guy.
Yeah, and I'm sure if you're listening to this program, you know who Dustin Perry is. But if for whatever reason you do not know, he is one of the originals from the hit television program Ghost Hunters, and then segueing into Ghost Hunters International. And he's been a big part of the paranormal world ever since then. And we've had the privilege of speaking with him 3 times on the prior podcast, the Alternate Route podcast, which is no more. It has ceased to be. Has gone on to meet its podcast maker. We are now the PARAnomaly ZONE. So, how you doing, Mike?
Dustin has made it to the big time being on our show.
Oh God, yeah, yep. That was his ultimate goal.
Yeah,
ultimate goal.
Who are these guys?
Mm-hmm. I did see another former guest of ours, Miss Heather Talley from Alien Highway.
Mm-hmm.
And several other paranormal programs. She tweeted out she's going to be a part of a big Las Vegas Para-Unity convention that's coming up in this December. It's like, oh man, Mike, that would have been an awesome one. That show is loaded.
Yeah, that would be unbelievable.
Yeah, we're not going to make it, but
yeah, I watched her with Jack Osborne the other day on.
Did you know? Very cool.
The Portals to Hell.
There you go. Yep. Well, and I think your dog Macy doesn't like the idea of a portal to hell because
I guess, or that was the portal.
Maybe it was the portal. I don't know.
Yes, I enjoy watching these different shows, and all of a sudden, I'm able to say that person's been on the show.
Right. It is pretty cool.
It's pretty awesome.
And we're going to be slowly but surely rebuilding a lot of those. Not rebuilding, but building, I guess, a new lineup of awesome guests exclusively for the PARAnomaly ZONE. We have coming up in January 13th so many positive adjectives to describe this guy. Ron Moorhead.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bigfoot fans, Sasquatch followers, Sierra Sounds aficionados know who Ron Moorhead is. He's coming back January 13th. Another former guest of the Ultra Route podcast. And then, Mike, I just booked another interview earlier today We have January 27th, 2 weeks after speaking with Ron, we are talking to the only female Sasquatch hunters / researchers, the Sea Squatchers. Are
Oh,
going to
they did get booked. I was wondering about
yes,
that.
Yep,
I've been waiting.
absolutely.
Yes, they were. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, absolutely. Account finally reached out because, okay, long story short, I'll try and make it as short as I can. The Alternate Route Podcast Facebook page has always been weird for me because it was ran or administered by my fiance, Bridget, because I cannot stand having Facebook pages. But in order to have a podcast / business page, you have to have a personal profile. And I did not want to create my own. So Bridget, out of the kindness of her heart, allowed me to run the podcast page through her account, essentially. Did that forever. And then when I switched over to Paranomaly Zone, I said, honey, I'll take this off of your hands and I will actually create a stupid personal profiles just so I can manage the podcast page. I joked with members of the Sea Squatchers when we met them at Unity earlier this summer.
Yes, which I took the initiative on that one.
You
I want to
did.
take credit for that.
Yes, and you should. You
I
should.
said, Patrick, we got to go talk to the Sea Squatchers.
Yeah.
And you were like, okay, well, not that you were apprehensive about wanting to have them on the show, because I know that you did, but I don't know. It's like we were kind of inching closer to their table, and then we were kind of standing there waiting for them to finish talking to this one other lady or something. And when they were done, I stepped in, and it's not like me.
No, it is not. It is not. I think I don't know what was going on with me. I think I don't know. I don't like being told what to do. So I was going to do it on my own good time. I wasn't going to make me do it, Mike.
That's right.
No, I'm kidding.
And they gave us a nice little rubber wristband that says Sea Squatchers on it. Sea Squatchers.
You got to get over that, man. You're going to screw it up a lot. But anyways, back. I'm sorry. I have to go back to. I have to finish my point here because I joked with them when we were speaking at Unity. I said, "Well, we would love to talk with you. However, if you want us to message you on Facebook, it will seem kind of weird because I will send you a message from someone named Bridget Smith, but it is really me. My name's Patrick Koffenberg, and it's about the podcast interview because I couldn't send personal messages, yada, yada, yada.
Right.
But now I have my own page. If you want to go find me on Facebook, go right ahead, Patrick Koffenberg. It's the manager account for the podcast page itself. But yeah, now I'm there, and now I can send out messages. And I've booked Ron and the Sea Squatchers via Facebook now. So I guess it's a good thing, right, that I'm on there. Ugh.
So some Bigfoot content on its way.
Absolutely. January is going to be loaded with Bigfoot stuff, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So anyhow, yeah, Mike, this is the Paranomaly Zone. This is our our fourth exclusive episode as the Paranomaly Zone, our new moniker, our new name. Let's keep pounding that into the ground because that's what it is, man. I like it. It encompasses what the podcast is all about. Tonight we got a good one.
We do.
Would you like to take it, Mike? Describe what we have lined up a little bit, if you can.
Well, we are going to be discussing the fact and factual happenings of visits after death, which, somebody loses a loved one and they're visited at the time of death, or as Dustin Perry brought up, he has noticed it's like 10 to 14 days later. But I believe it can happen instantly, or it can happen during that 10 to 14 days. But yeah, I think it's gonna be a great topic.
That was really interesting that Dustin mentioned that when we were talking with him.
Yeah.
It was. I'll be honest. I had not heard of that, like a specific time frame where it was most common.
Yeah, I've never heard of that either.
That was really, really interesting. And Dustin laid it out for us. How it seems to be a predominant theory in particular religions and stuff, and whether or not you abide by any of them, that's totally up to you.
Different religions and cultures. And
and we have some personal experiences that we can throw out there to discuss. I think Mike found some interesting tidbits about some interesting signs that recently passed loved ones may be trying to throw out there for us to notice that they're still here. Their presence is still all around us. And then, to finish out the show, though, we can't forget this. This is quickly becoming my favorite new segment of the Paranomaly Zone, Mike. I love our one last take segments.
Yes.
It's stuff that we've always wanted to talk about. And the range for these one last takes is endless. I mean, it's infinite. We can talk about anything and everything. The first 2 episodes of the Paranomaly Zone, our one last take, we talked about the alien autopsy video and the Travis Walton alleged UFO/alien abduction. And now tonight we're talking about Stigmata. One last take. That's something that's always fascinated me, Mike. And you and I have never talked about on the podcast before.
No. We've kind of mentioned it back and forth between us, but never really did talk about it on any show.
No, it's fascinating. So I'm looking
Stigmata.
Well, not Stiga. Not Stiga. Stigmata. So
it depends on what language you're speaking in. Stigmata.
It's not. Oh, that's right. That's true. Hey,
depends where you're from.
Got the little Stigmata. Yeah. Yes. Okay. It's not Stigmata, and it's not the Sea Squatchers. So get it straight.
Yes, straight. Here's a tissue for you for your Stigmata.
Yeah. Anyways, and we're also going to have Ryan Moorhead on the show, according to Mike. Yeah, all sorts of good stuff lined up. But should we just dive into it, Mike? Without any further ado?
Absolutely, I'm ready.
All right, cool. All right, we're done.
We have no content.
We hope you enjoyed that. So
we would like you to stick around for a little bit and listen to my dog whine.
Or I could just play Mike's soundboard over and over.
Yeah,
I think so too. Yeah. Okay, so all right, Mike. I noticed when you're talking to, you're rubbing your throat. Are you?
Yes.
Are you doing that to try and soothe it, or are you?
I don't know. It's unconsciously. But
okay.
My it's part of my whatever has been going on in my anywhere between my throat and the top of my head.
Gotcha.
So,
well, Mike, let's dive into it. The first thing that I want to discuss, and we've talked about this several times. We had talked about this several times on the Alternate Route podcast. Your vocation, your job, you definitely have a lot of experience. I mean, in a good way, but also it's always unfortunate when you grow close to people and then they pass on. I mean, you work in hospice, and you've sadly grown fond of. Well, it's not sad that you've grown fond of, but you've grown fond of several of your patients, if not all of them, and sadly you've had to say goodbye to them as several of them have passed on.
As has happened yesterday.
Oh, it did. Okay, you did text me. You said it was a rough day yesterday, so. When we were discussing setting up the podcast tonight.
Busy and rough.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Have you, before we dive into stuff that I know that we've both experienced, maybe experienced, you especially, have you ever had any immediate sensation at work after someone has passed, Mike? Has anything ever seemed interesting? Or have you felt the presence leave? Any sort of sign or anything that could be taken as a sign in your line of work? I mean, if not, that's fine. I'm just curious.
I really haven't at the moment.
Okay.
I of that time I don't recall any signs or anything like that. Mm-hmm. The main thing with me, the signs that I've ever seen is when somebody's nearing death and they are acknowledging visitations that they are getting by people or family members or passed on loved ones that are, I believe strongly, that are there waiting for that person. Mm-hmm. And I have seen people acknowledge somebody there that I can't see.
That's right. Yes, you have said that before. How else can you interpret that? I mean, that's...
Yeah, and that's an amazing thing.
Yeah.
Whether it's, lifting a hand up and waving at somebody or actually saying that somebody is there. Mm-hmm. Even my dad, when I went into the hospital to see him every day, and it was not many days before he passed away, before he went non-responsive, I remember him saying one time when we went there that, well, your mother was here last night.
Yeah, that's right.
pretty amazing. And my mother had passed away years before that.
And was your dad
So
lucid at that time?
he was very lucid at that time. He was lucid for close to the end.
Man.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing.
And your dad has always been, as longtime listeners know, ding, 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 longtime listeners of the Ultimate Route podcast. Hopefully we're getting new listeners to the PARAnomaly Zone. As longtime listeners know / recall, your dad was a strong believer in
absolutely
all things paranormal.
All things paranormal.
And absolutely, I don't want to say guided you towards your belief.
Extremely influenced.
There you go. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, absolutely influenced you.
And was a part of me being able to witness things, like the first time I had actually experienced something before I saw the little girl ghost, hearing things, and we were all together when that very first thing happened, and then it just skyrocketed from there.
Well, Mike, can you briefly explain what you're referring to there to new listeners who are signing in? You said we were all there when those things, we all experienced it. What are you talking about?
Right. That's when we were in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, visiting my uncle and his family, and we were in his house, sitting in the living room, everybody talking and having a good time. And it was evening, getting into nighttime, and they were talking about the ghost that's in this house. It's been known to be haunted for a long time, and other people had a lot of stories about what they've experienced there. And my uncle was telling us that it never starts until 9 o'clock or after, a little after, like after the kids are in bed and things are quiet. Then that's when the paranormal things happen. But I remember not long after he was telling that story, we were sitting on the couch, and all of a sudden we hear this big crash down in the basement, which is something that he explained happened frequently. And they would go down in the basement, and there was nothing that would have caused this loud crash. And it was a loud crash, like something had to have been broken all over the place.
And nothing was there.
And nothing out of place, nothing at all. But just as a little kid, before, this is like my first experience, and I was very young, very little. When I heard that crash, after hearing the story of the 9 o'clock thing, I heard the crash, and I booked out the front door and hid behind a car. And then it was really dark out, and I realized that I'm out in this dark yard, like hiding behind this car, and I'm all alone.
And that was even worse.
So I went back in the house with everybody else.
Yeah, where it's safer, where it's haunted.
Pretty interesting, but that's the only time that I remember getting freaked out by any kind of paranormal activities. That very first one, and after that, it was nothing. Yep.
Yeah, again, that's another thing. Mike's so casual, nonchalant about it. Oh yeah, I just happened to see a floating black mass apparition float across my kitchen
just a few weeks ago.
Oh yeah, we happened to see saw our ghost cat the other day. Yeah, whatever, Oh, our cupboard doors were left wide open yet again. You know how it goes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. In the meantime, I'm over here twiddling my thumbs, going, "Hello, anybody in the paranormal realm? Say hello."
Waiting and waiting and waiting.
Yes. Yeah. Personally speaking, I don't have any examples to provide other than perhaps being visited by the spirit of a passed on loved pet.
Oh, yeah.
Which is very much a possibility. Why would it
I
not
think it's
be?
Common.
My beagle that I had for nearly 16 years, Buddy.
Yeah, he was a great dog, but he kind of smelled bad. I remember.
He was awesome. He was such a
didn't he
dog.
shed a lot too?
No, he did not.
Oh, okay.
No.
But I remember a smell though.
Really? Oh, okay.
Kind of a dog stench.
Well, that's a common thing. It was he was my best friend for 16 years, and with you through the ups and the downs and all that, and you grow up, you create that special bond. But, he unfortunately passed away 4 years ago. Wow, going on 4 years ago already.
Really? Wow.
And And it again, Mike, I always have to preface it with, it could be nothing.
Of course.
But
And that is where you start going in the other direction to where, no, it was nothing. You convince yourself.
But I swore, Buddy had his little bed in the little corner of the living room. That's where, in the last place that he was living, where he just loved it. He just hang out in there, he'd sleep all day. That's what the beagles do. The 3 S's: sniff, snack, and snooze. That's what beagles do.
Oh yeah.
And so when he was asleep, he just loved hanging out there sleeping all the time. And after he had passed, after maybe 3 days, I'd say about on the 3rd day, immediately after he passed away, I had to get rid of I got rid of his kennel, I got rid of his bed, I got rid of all this stuff because it was like, that's Buddy's. I don't want, it doesn't need to be here. It's just, it needs to go away now. Maybe that's weird. I'm not going to hold on to stuff like that. It's like, nope, that's Buddy's kennel, that's Buddy's bed, that's Buddy's this. And so I just got rid of everything. So there's nothing in that corner, but I just, again, Mike, I'm being skeptical. Maybe it's just because I was so used to it, but I swore when I walked into that living room, there was Buddy right there in the flipping corner, just sitting there looking up at me, just being happy and blah, blah, blah. And I had to do the double take. I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, Buddy. I reacted as if he was there, but then it's like, no, he's not, So, that could be anything. That could be almost, for lack of a better term, muscle memory, but it's mind memory because you're just so used to seeing him there.
Or it could have been residual, or it could have been Buddy.
It could have been Buddy, man. And like I said, I mentioned earlier, you have your ghost cats or one of them and stuff. But you totally believe that animals can come back and visit you. Do you not?
Absolutely. There's no question about that.
And one would think
in
that,
my mind,
to kind of go along with the theory, Dustin Perry's theory about maybe it's more common to occur within those first 2 weeks. And after that, hopefully they've transitioned in that time or after that time. And so they're no longer really unless they really, really want to or feel they need to come back and visit you, perhaps they won't. I want to dive into that theory though, Mike. Let's wrap our brains around. Let's make ourselves sound dumb. Okay.
Well, easy enough.
Yeah, easy enough, right? Why would there be a time frame for a transition? If when you pass on, there's no such thing as time as the way that we understand it. Correct?
Yeah.
But are they still, quote unquote, trapped in this dimension on Earth here, and it takes a certain amount of time for them to transition properly, and so therefore that period of time would be when they are most apt to still try and contact you because they have yet to transition. Your thoughts on that, Mike? And is it difficult for you to wrap your head around that? Because it's hard for me to do that.
Well, it is difficult, but maybe there's a time frame of a list of things that happen after death that we don't even know about. Like
you check off each box almost.
Yeah, I think? Exactly. If you want to put it that way, sure. It's like. And then we're just on that list of things to do, and it gets to us within that time frame. That's it's a time frame to us, but to them on the other side, it isn't. It's just a happening that is that to them, everything that's on that list could be done at the exact same time.
That's a great point, Mike. Yeah,
because there is no time.
Yep,
time is a human construct.
Absolutely.
Seriously.
It is. No, it absolutely is the human construct because we did it just to maintain our sanity and have some sort of sense of control, which we don't have. But, when we make up time,
like to feel
like
they
we do. That's right. Yep. Yep. You make up this concept
of time.
It's utter
chaos without it.
It is. So, it's fascinating. I encourage our listeners to kind of dive into that too, because it's difficult. It's really hard to try and, again, I'm repeating myself, to wrap your mind around it, but why not? Why not? And it's easier for us. We have to put it into that 2 week time frame, and easier for us to conceptualize something that doesn't exist in our dimension. So we have to put it in our dimensional terms. You know what I mean?
Right. And we're not smart enough to understand, unless you're the great one. the kaku.
Oh, the Mikio
You know,
Akaku. Yes.
If we asked him this question, he would have an answer that could be 2 hours long.
I know.
And
entertaining.
And entertaining and easy to listen to and understandable.
Yep. These silver.
You haven't even tried to reach out to him, have you?
No. I mean, well, no, that's not true. I tried to a couple years ago, because believe it or not, he does have a Twitter account, and he's
really. I don't think I follow him. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, he's on there fairly often. But he has so many followers. I sent him a random tweet, so the chances of him seeing that were, basically zero. But you never know. So hey, maybe I'll send him out one tonight and say, hey, help us out here.
Do that. Talk to his people, get his phone number, get his cell number, and just give him a call.
Yeah, I'll just text him.
Yeah, just text him. Yeah. Yeah.
That'd be funny as hell. That'd be funny if he wrote back, he said, "Who dis?"
Yes. You have caught me.
Yeah.
I didn't say cotton.
No.
You have caught me in the tub. What is it I can do for you?
I am washing my luxuriant silver hair. Sorry. Yeah, Mike's still slowly recovering from his cough there, so he can't laugh that much. He's like, yeah. But that's the.
I was just popping a squash. What can I do for you?
I'm on my last roll of Cottonelle. God damn it! Yeah. Let me go. Anyway. Yeah, sorry about that.
But we do love the man.
Oh God, yeah. Talk about a dream guest, man. There's the list is short and few, but man, he's absolutely up there for dream guests. If
anybody is a fan of the late great Art Bell, you should look into the archives of Art Bell and give a listen to some of the times when Mikio Kaku was on with Art Bell. Was absolutely fascinating.
Fascinating.
Him and Art Bell were pretty good friends.
Say, Mike,
great interview.
Before we dive into like a couple of the lists and theories that we hopefully have time to dive into, quickly, a couple personal experiences that, well, you for sure had. Talk to us about that again, where you swore when, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Mike, fill me in with the details, that you swore you were visited by your dad after he passed away. When you were driving in your car, if I remember correctly, you were going to work.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about then?
Well, absolutely. It was a feeling and a scent, actually.
Yep.
My dad was he was a junker. He would drive around in his pickup and dumpster dive for like anything aluminum and pop cans, and he made bucks out of it. He really did. Oh, yeah. Not just out of pop cans, but anything aluminum. And he just hundreds and hundreds of pounds he would bring in and sell it at the wherever the places that he went in town, and
the dealers.
He socked away a lot of money, and so later on as he got older, he showered less. and it's like, oh, I don't need to take a shower. I'm fine. I'll maybe next week. I don't know. But but anyway,
maybe next month.
So he had a certain odor to him. And nothing. I mean, I was gonna say nothing bad, but God damn it, yes, it was sometimes.
Okay, sure, that's
sorry,
fine,
Steve, but my brother Steve, but he understands too. Loved our dad more than you can imagine. Fantastic guy, but I was driving in my car between towns somewhere when I was working, and that smell came over me very strongly. It's like my dad it's like he was sitting right next to me.
And how long after he passed was this? Do you remember?
Oh man. At this point, I don't remember. It couldn't have been very long.
If I remember, it wasn't too long of a time frame.
No, more than 10 to 14 days.
Okay.
Could have been a year, maybe even.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah. And it was, and it was a one of a kind smell. It's like, it didn't smell like this or smell like that. It was my dad.
It was a mixture of things.
Yes. It was a mixture of, old gooey, soda pop sweat.
Did you
And-
say? Did you? He wasn't a cigar smoker, was he? Did you say?
Oh no, he wasn't a smoker.
Oh, okay,
He quit
okay.
smoking back in like the 50s or something like that.
Okay, but he did at one point.
Yeah,
Okay.
decades and decades
Yeah.
ago.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
But nothing that you were really familiar with then. As
No.
far as like, because I'm probably mixing it up with a different memory then or different story because I thought that you're going to say you started smelling like a cigar or something, but that must be some other story. Yeah, that's fascinating though, man.
No, there's no smoke smell to this. It was just pure dad.
And did you feel kind of overwhelmed by any sense, or were you just like, oh, hi, Dad, type thing?
Yeah, well, you know me. I mean, it was.
Yes, I do.
It was. It's like, wow, that's strong.
Yeah.
You know, but and it didn't last long, and as quick as it was there, it leaves as quick as it comes. I mean, that's the way other scents that I've noticed that to me were paranormal. It's like they come and then they're gone, like flipping a switch.
Okay.
So yeah.
Another something that has popped into my brain. Don't let me forget it, Mike, because I need to say another story first before. Remind me, say what popped in your brain like 5 minutes ago, Patrick, so I don't forget. Okay.
Okay.
But the first thing I want to mention briefly is something we talked about before on the Alter Rail podcast was, unfortunately, my mother's husband passed away almost going on 3 months ago now, which is amazing. That was already 3 months ago. But long story short, in their bedroom, they had a very large painting that was always, it was hanging there since the house was built. The house was built not that long ago. I think it's going on 12 to 15 years old, something like that. It's a beautiful, huge lake home.
Like a baby compared to mine. 140-year-old house.
Oh God, yeah. But this painting, this large painting, was always on their wall, never moved since it was hung there, you know. And coincidence, Mike, I don't know, but literally the day after, it might have been later that same day. I'm already forgetting. I think it was the day after he had passed away. My brother was staying there with my mom. They were out in the living room. No one else in the house. No one in the house. Just those two. They hear this large crash, this bang. They search the house. They're like, what the hell was this? They went everywhere, downstairs in the basement, upstairs in the loft, in the garage, all the bedrooms, blah, blah, blah. Couldn't find anything that would have explained this bang. Until they went back to the bedroom where Mick spent his last days when he had home hospice care. He passed away in their bedroom. And
which would have been the same hospice that I worked for. We have offices out there, yeah.
Yeah, yep. And lo and behold, when they went into the bedroom, well, there was that giant painting crashed onto the floor, somehow literally pulled out the heavy nails that was hanging on. It didn't just like sink and like you're looking. It's not like you looked at a nail hole that was slowly drooping, you know, and the thing just finally brought it down.
Bigger.
It looked like the nails were pulled straight out. That was weird. The weirdest thing. My mom is convinced. She goes, "That was Mick." he's letting me know somehow, and I'm like, "Mom, did he hate that painting or something?" And she's like, "I don't know. I don't think he hated it." But when we talked about this before, Mike, I mean, I know what you're going to say, but you think that that's a sign from Mick, do you not?
Absolutely, and especially what intrigues me also and makes me believe that is that your mother herself, she immediately knew what happened and who it was.
Yep.
No question. Where the hell did you come from?
Right. Gosh, come on now.
You know, but yeah, she knew. She felt it. She knew in her heart and what that was. And, you know.
And she says that, you know, and again, as the skeptical point of view, the pseudo skeptic point of view could be, well, you know, she's grieving widow now, and it's an emotional time, and every little thing you could interpret as a sign. But she swears, you know, things, she's noticing things, weird things around the house, you know, and she says that she senses his presence. She'd sit there and do her puzzle, and when Mick was in the bedroom and stuff, you know, and he made this a habit where he was very quiet and stealth. And Mom would have the back turned to the bedroom door, but then she'd finally like look over her shoulder, and there's Mick standing peering over her shoulder. And she's like, what are you doing? You're creeping me out type thing. He did that to her all the time, and she has jumped. Well, this was a long time ago now. Well, almost 3 months ago when she was telling me about that. She had experienced that at least 2 times the week immediately following Mick's death, where she swore he was standing right behind him again, and she were to the point where she reacted and looked up thinking that she'd see Mick there.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they were so close. They loved each other very much. Correct?
Oh gosh, yes, of course.
And there's going to be no mistaking that that she recognizes these things that he used to do.
Right.
I mean, she was grieving properly. I'm sure it's not like she's like in a tailspin or anything.
Oh, no, not at all.
You know, she's doing well. She's not pulling it about straws or anything. She is experiencing exactly what she has throughout the loving time that they've spent together. And it's still going on. I mean, that energy is still there. He pops in to either check in on her or to do these things to let her know, yeah, it's fine. I'm here. I'm going to mess with you a little bit.
Yep.
You know, I'm going to freak you out.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to pop this off the wall.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a common thing, you know, like just in the last few months of, you know, speaking of things popping off the wall, like my brother Steve, you know, with things that have been going on in his house, which I checked in on again, and it's been quiet, but the dogs have freak out a little bit, and they can't understand why. But
oh, Mike had to mute his mic because he's convulsing.
Yeah,
you're fine.
A bit.
Yeah.
In my kitchen, I had this thing hanging on a nail. It's just a little hole that this is hanging on, and the nail was all the way through this hole on there, very sturdy. And I was out there cooking, and this thing popped off this nail, you know, and there's no way it could have came off unless there was some kind of a pressure that was pushing it, a force that pushed it off.
Right.
And it was something that my mother had given to her sister many, many years ago. And in the last year or so, 2 years or so, my cousin, my aunt's son, found it and gave it to me. So this is something that was very special between my mom and my aunt that she gave to her. So, you know, could that have been my mother, you know, telling me that she was there just checking in on things? Absolutely.
Why not? Right.
Right.
That's okay. Got so many things I want to dive into. Oh, that's right. I don't want to forget. One thing that did pop in my brain about 5 minutes ago. I did remember. You don't have to remind me, Mike.
Okay, I forgot anyway.
Yeah,
so
I know you did.
I'm glad.
Gosh, going on 37 years ago now. Next year will be 37 years. My dad passed away when I was 8.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't experience this, but I was told this by my brother, my oldest brother. When he was there, he was in college at the time, and he and his girlfriend, I don't know if they were if she was his fiance at the time or not, but they came up to visit the family, obviously, because, you know, my dad had just passed away. And I had heard from him that while he and his girlfriend were, they slept on the floor in the living room that week that my dad passed, his girlfriend told my brother in the middle of the night, she woke up and she claimed to see my dad walk from what was my mom in his bedroom, walk across towards the kitchen. The living room, they were in the living room facing the dining room. Bedroom would have been to their left, the kitchen would have been to their right. It's an old house. Both sides had these built-in pillars with glass cabinets that are part of the makeup of the house. It's really kind of unique setup. So she saw him essentially go from behind one cabinet to the other cabinet. I don't know what to say about that. I don't know how I feel about that. Would it be, if it was real, would that be great? Of course it would be great. It would be mind-blowing. But it's her word. I'm not arguing with her. I'm not saying I disbelieve her, but that's what she claims to have seen. Why would she make something up like that in that emotional time? Your guess is as good as mine. I would like to believe her, but I do know that how she's claimed to have seen my dad during my dad's last months. I have a visual memory of this when he was trying to keep it in shape as much as he could, trying to stay as active as he could. And when he was at his sickest, it was during the middle of the winter, so he couldn't really go outside and do too many physical activities. But he would always walk around the house as much as he could. He'd do like his laps around the house. And that was where his laps would always start, was from that side of the bedroom. And he'd walk out, and he'd walk to the kitchen, walk around the kitchen, come back out through the living room. And that's what my brother's girlfriend claimed to have seen.
And why not?
I know. It's why not? Exactly. Why not? I know that you buy it, Mike. I know you buy it.
Yeah, I know I'm not naive enough to think that every story told is real.
Well, of course.
But everything is possible.
It is.
Yeah. And even Mary, her father passed away, and 6 months after he passed away, in her house, she saw him sitting on her couch.
Oh, really?
Absolutely. And there is no question about that.
That's crazy. You got to have an open mind, man. Even if you're a skeptic like me. I'm not a pseudo-skeptic, though. That's the thing.
No, and thank God for that.
I know.
Because I would have to slap you and quit the show.
I know you would. And
I wouldn't be able to put up with it.
No, you'd slap me hard.
Neither would you. You wouldn't be able to put up with it either.
Gosh, Mike, we have so much to dive into. Let's take a quick time traveling excursion. I want to dive into a couple of those lists that you have. Then we need to dive into Stigmata, and I want to give my review of Ghostbusters Afterlife. No spoilers, but I want to talk about it a wee bit. Sound good, my friend?
Absolutely.
All right, better mute your mic because we are going to time travel. Hold on, boys and girls. We shall be right back. All right, we have returned after yet another successful time traveling excursion. Mike, let's dive right into some supposed common signs that recently, or maybe not so recently, passed on loved ones may be trying to give out for us to notice, for us to grasp, and for us to comprehend, and maybe perhaps react to. Who the hell knows?
Yeah. I think a lot of these signs,
we've talked about already.
Very well. They're very much like a haunting in general, but I think what adds to these common signs is how you feel about them, how you accept them, and what just what they mean to you instead of just random things.
Well, the first one that is mentioned here, and we've talked about this before, but it is so powerful and it's so true, is dream visitations.
Absolutely.
Like, I mean,
very common.
Very common. There's so many different ways that this could happen in and about your dreams and about your mind. Talk about that for a little bit, Mike. I mean, what is it about the dream state that perhaps makes it easier for passed on loved ones to communicate with you?
Well, you're in a different state of mind. Your brain is working different. It's more open to something coming in and giving you these messages in a dream form.
There's no restrictions because your mind.
No restrictions.
Mind isn't blocking it out.
You're just your mind and your body are they're just kind of prepped for contact or whatever, however you want to say it. And like we said, I think it's very common. I even had a dream years ago. It's when I still lived in Park Rapids, and it was so realistic, which is another aspect you know about dreams of contact. So realistic. I had a dream that I met up with and spent some time with Burl Ives.
Oh my gosh.
And it was absolutely fantastic. I met him at his house in this dream. I was there at the back door, you know, knocking on the door, and he came, and that Burl Ives, just that jovial, happy smile, big guy, welcomed me in, and we sat and we talked. And the thing is that I found out that Burl Ives was a very spiritual man, not religious. He believed in all the spirituality, like me, like what I believed in. You know, the paranormal. He was just really into that. He believed in that, and that whole spiritual mix of all this, just like me. And him and I, in this dream, met up, and we're talking about this stuff, laughing and joking, and it was amazing.
That had to have been like the most memorable, most enjoyable dream.
Oh my God,
of your life.
It was. And why Burl Ives? I don't know. I mean, he's an awesome guy. I mean, great performer, that folk music, everything.
There's something
the acting,
there,
all that stuff. But, you know, why have a dream about him if we weren't getting together and chatting about spirituality?
You know, it's, you know, maybe it goes along. It's another topic altogether, and it's, you know, by itself. Maybe it goes along the lines, Mike, of, if you buy into this, that we're all one. We're all one.
Oh, absolutely.
Part of the same spirit, essentially.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe you guys,
true.
maybe
the
you
same
guys,
energy.
maybe you guys are kindred spirits because you had so many similarities, and
a lot in common.
Maybe you just literally crossed paths in a dream state. I mean, why not?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm getting to be about as big as he was, I think. No, just kidding.
We mentioned this one earlier, like with my mom, using my mom as an example, but sensing their presence.
Exactly.
And you yourself
that
too.
Feeling.
And combining with the sense of smell. I mean,
right.
you talk about that with your dad. You felt
Absolutely.
You felt like he was there, and you smelled him. You know, I mean, that's
not that he was, you know, like just a bad, messy,
of course
dirty
not.
guy, but he was a hard worker.
But you know, that makes sense because, you know, the sense of smell is the most powerful sense. I mean, as far as inducing memories and feelings and stuff. Wow, man. I mean, why not? You get something that's even remotely similar to how someone close to you smelled. It's going to bring you right back to the last time you talked to him or her.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it just works out that way. Now, this one I have never personally experienced. Again, my mom kind of felt this when she was, and she still remembers this vividly to this day, going on 40 years ago. After my dad died, she swears he was still sleeping in her bed. She'd feel and thought she saw the bed sinking, and she felt like this weight, this presence right next to her where my dad would always sleep. And that is feeling their touch is another sign. I've never had anything like that. Have you ever had anything, Mike, where you physically felt touched? That's a tough one.
I don't think so. I when I was in junior high school, I did have an experience that I think about once in a while because it freaked me out at that time. I was in the hallway waiting for class. The door wasn't open yet. Teacher wasn't there yet, but I was leaning my back against the wall, just waiting. And on my shoulder or my neck that connects to the shoulder right up here, I felt like something grabbed me there so hard and pushed me down.
Like on your trapezius muscle type thing?
Like right here.
Your traps.
Is that what that is?
Yep.
And it pushed me down, you know, but it freaked me out a little bit because I was like, because it was so sudden. Wow. And I was just standing there. There's nothing. I wasn't moving. nothing. Nobody was there to do this
And this was
to me, to grab me.
And quite honestly, it wasn't. I'm just throwing this out there. You didn't have a pinched nerve in your neck, Mike. I'm being serious here.
See, that's what keeps my mind from saying that it was actually a paranormal experience.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a grab. It wasn't just a touch. I mean, it was like a grab, and it pushed me down.
Now, did it hurt? Did it hurt? Did it hurt you? Because pinched nerves in your neck and your shoulders hurt. I know.
It wasn't an extreme pain. It felt like a hard grab, pinch,
and
then pushed me down. But like I said, in my mind, over the years, it pops up in my mind often. But I have that thought of it could have been like a spasm, a nerve spasm or something. But why? I don't know. But I'm sure that can happen.
Oh, definitely.
But that's the only thing that I can think of that remotely seemed like something grabbing me, touching me, and it had a very distinct, strong, physical,
a weight
thing
on
that
there.
happened. Yeah.
Okay, because you like physically, like you felt like your shoulder being pushed.
Right. But then again, my mind, see, it's not like I'm a believer in every little single thing, because in my mind, I think of the nerve thing. I think of some spasm or something, which it very well could have been, but it really struck me as somebody grabbed me and started pushing me down, pushing my shoulder down. This is another one, Mike. Have you ever heard anyone's voice? Kind of talked about that a little bit before. Not as somebody that I know that I would recognize trying to say anything. I've heard the whispering in my ear, that I couldn't discern what it was saying, but I knew it was a woman. I knew it was whispering. I couldn't make out words, but not like somebody that I know that had passed away saying something to me.
Okay, but something was definitely there. You could.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you heard you could pick it out as a female voice, but
very close to my ear, and it was.
Oh my God, that just kind of creeped me out that you did that, Mike. God damn.
But what did I do? Went on with my morning.
Yeah, you're like, oh la dee da. Where's my?
I was like, wow, that was
pebbles?
cool.
Yeah.
And that was in the old house in Park Rapids that we investigated so many times. That was so haunted. So with that, I'm like putting it all together. It's like, yeah, there's some woman that was whispering in my ear, and I didn't see her, but it was there.
God damn. Was it Debbie? Maybe it was Debbie. Maybe
didn't sound like a little kid. Okay. I mean, yeah. And it was right up here, like somebody standing right next to me, that close to my ear. So.
And if you are new to the show, we will share it again. But Mike and I have a pretty remarkable EVP that we captured back in the day at Mike's very haunted house. Haunted in a very, not in a negative way.
Oh, no.
Just very, very active. And we shared it several times in the Alternate Rail podcasts, and we'll get around to sharing it again on the...
And there are plenty of people like, oh, not again.
Not again, right?
Hey, we know Debbie now. We know her.
Hey, it's a fresh start, man. It's a fresh start.
Yeah.
Unexplained electrical activities, Mike. I mean, that could be any number of things.
Exactly.
Any number of things.
Lights turning on and off, little glitches, TVs turning themselves on.
Things not working all of a sudden.
Absolutely. Sure. Yeah.
I mean, again, talk about a potential sign that skeptics are like, oh, whatever. It's just like something, glitches like this happen all the time. That's just what
there's a loose wire.
Yes. It's not a ghost. Now this is a topic and a potential sign. Well, this is a potential sign and a topic, I should say, that we covered on.
And it's a fascinaning one. I know what you're going to say.
Phone calls from the dead, essentially, Mike. I love that topic. It blows me away.
We need to cover that deeper at some time.
Well, I think that we did 2 episodes of that on the Alternate podcast, but why not go back there again? And man, sure. I mean, it's definitely worth it. Definitely worth it.
And it's something that creeps people out. There have been movies made about this. There's like the Twilight Zone episode that I loved, one of my favorites. This older lady, she keeps getting her phone rings in the middle of the night, and it's on the stand next to her bed, and she'll answer it, and it'll be staticky, and you not hearing anything, and it happened every night. And then later on, she'd answer this phone. She'd hear the static, and she'd hear a voice. And so she's trying to call the operator and trying to get an answer of what's going on. There's something wrong with my phone. And some the workmen, they go out and they all the lines, and then they finally find where this line has been knocked down.
Okay.
And it was knocked down in a cemetery, and the phone line was draped across this woman's dead husband's grave.
Oh, crazy.
Loved it. Awesome episode.
Oh man, that's too cool. That's too cool. I like that.
But I think it's more common than what people think. The staticky phone calls, it's like nothing's there but static. It's, there's that static and, or conversation. There's voices that come up, and
it's not, the thing is that let's make clear here. It's not that we're sitting there suggesting that ghosts, for lack of a better term, have like cell phones on the other side and they're dialing our number,
right.
But it's just another line of communication, quite literal.
Electrical energy, Mike,
just any signal that's out there, they're looking for any method of communication.
Right.
And why would they not be able to just kind of sneak into your cell phone reception and just say, make their presence known? I mean, and these things go back decades, Mike. We're talking about people who claim to have received voicemails on their landlines,
right, exactly.
Calling their home phone numbers, then hearing clear as day voices or muffled voices. It's a creepy topic without a doubt, but man, it's fascinating. I mean, why not? Why not?
I smell tuna.
You smell tuna?
Yeah. No, I'm serious. I really do, but I don't think there's a dead fish trying to get a hold of me. But
no, that's interesting.
Mary, do you smell tuna?
Mike's being overwhelmed by the odor of the fish of the sea.
Maybe my beer's getting stale. I don't know.
Or the chicken of the sea. I said the fish of the sea. Good Lord. Let's see here. I mean, movement in the home, any number of things could be messed around with, played with. Like, where'd my keys go? I know I left them right here, and then all of a sudden they disappear. Right. Maybe you had a prankster of a deceased loved one who's still playing tricks on you. You know, just letting you know that he or she is there.
I had that happen in base housing in Grand Forks, North Dakota, Grand Forks Air Force Base. Base housing there, I would, laundry would be put away in the closet, and I would go in to get a shirt out of there or whatever, which I knew was there.
Yeah.
Gone. Never seen it again. Things like that would happen. Yeah.
That's crazy. Now, one of these that is, I mean, we're going to skip apparitions because that one's obvious. Sure. That's
very obvious. Yeah.
I don't consider that a sign per se, but one that could be interpreted in a million different ways are symbolic signs, symbolic messages, something that makes sense only to you, essentially. Yep. Or, maybe it doesn't make sense to you. Maybe it's something that you never quite understood about your a loved one who passed on, or a friend who had passed on. Maybe you're all of a sudden a feather appears on your doorstep.
That's happened to me.
And then you're like, why is a feather here? And then you would learn something about, such and such. That was his favorite bird, or her favorite bird was this and this. And then it's like, wait, that feather I found on my doorstep belonged to this type of bird. I mean, any number of ways this could go.
Right. Pennies showing up in places where you have no idea why that would be there. Things like that. Yeah.
I mean, this is a potential sign that is, I would have to guess, is the most common occurrence, just because it is a very broad, there's several examples that you can throw into this, Mike. It covers a broad range of signs. It could be interpreted in any number of ways. It's not very specific, but it's specific to the person experiencing it, or it could be it. But it's also something that could be misinterpreted a lot. It could be absolutely nothing. Mike's staring at me blankly right now. Can you hear me?
No, I'm intently listening to you.
Oh, you get me nervous when you're staring at me like that. Because I'm like, so it's like,
Do I make you uncomfortable, Patrick?
well, no, I get worried that the audio stopped working or something. And I'm just rambling on, or the screen is frozen up, and
I make Patrick nervous.
but
You should hear what's going through my mind when I'm staring at you.
Yeah, blah blah blah. Well, I guess what I'm getting at is I absolutely buy it, but it is also the quote unquote sign that is the most easily misinterpreted and misunderstood, and could easily be innocuous, non-paranormal stuff, just as easily as it would be a possible paranormal sign.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's oh my gosh, I saw a rock.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what? Well,
That rock looked like the shape of my grandfather's head.
right. The same color too. Yeah. I mean, it could be interpreted in any number of ways. So I guess that's what I'm getting at. So
That wrinkly old cow in the field looks like my wife.
oh my Lord, Mike, you did not go there, did you? You did not go.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, I'm not talking me. I'm talking about anybody in general.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Okay, Mike, stop it. Stop it. Good Lord. Mike gets on these laughing fits where he just doesn't stop. Anyways, stop it. Okay. Anyways, how you doing, Mike?
Good. I'm good.
Well, we're coming up on an hour here, my friend. Let's do a very brief time traveling excursion. Let's wrap it up. We need to dive into stigmata. And I'm going
we got
to give
some awesome stigmata talk.
absolutely. It's a fascinating topic.
Stigmata.
And I have to give my Ghostbusters Afterlife review, and I need to check on my dog because he hurt his foot the other day, and he's really like acting.
Oh, no.
He's acting funny right now. So that's why I'm cutting this segment kind of short, but we're coming back before you know.
Big and bold and strong.
All right, mute your mic. We're time traveling, my friend. We shall be all right. I'm back. All right, we have returned after yet another successful time traveling excursion. Okay, Mike, let's not waste any more time. It's time for
I'm not wasting nothing.
time for one last take, and I need to whip up some intro music for our one last take segments here.
You have to. We haven't done any intro music for stuff for a long time.
No, I know that. I had 5 minutes alone set up for Bridget when she would do her 5-minute rants.
Yep.
I had I had the weekly top 5, which was this one, Plug Your Ears.
I missed that one.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll turn that into our one last take. Well, this episode will be our intro for one last take, all right? No? Or, you know what, I have a different one too. We also had a segment in the Alternate Route podcast called Did You Know Intro. I don't even remember what that was. What was this one?
Yeah.
There you go. That's right.
I think a
music.
little bit of Don Ho's Tiny Bubbles would be nice.
We could do that.
Yeah.
Maybe She's a Lady by Tom Jones.
There you go.
Any number of things. So,
yeah.
Mike's favorite sound bites was well, I'll do that, and then I'll quickly go to so without any further ado, temporarily our opening segment for our one last take, hot take. Here we go.
I do love that.
All right, we'll think of something better, trust me.
I thought you were going to do one of my sound bites.
Nah, no, I'll let you go. I'll let it slide.
The flatulent
I'll let it slide.
Blast.
Now, let's preface this by we're not claiming anything, either believer or non-believer, when it comes to anything in the Christian faith here.
Right.
Stigmata is definitely a big part of Christian mysticism, almost. Definitely, Christian belief. It's very Roman Catholic, actually. Stigmata. Yeah, and it is. Gosh, I'm drawing a blank here. I know what I'm trying to say. It's powerful. If it's legit, it is unbelievably moving.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's undeniable as far as the how it has affected people.
Right.
There's no doubt there. Now, if you're not familiar, again, if you're listening to this podcast, chances are you know what stigmata is all about. But as it is described in the Christian, as Mike said, / Roman Catholic faith, stigmata is described as bodily marks, scars, or pains corresponding, relating, matching to the same marks, scars, and pains suffered by Jesus Christ during the crucifixion.
Right. The crown of thorns, the whip lashes, the
bleeding from
the nails
palms.
and the hands and feet, the spear in the side.
Oh God, yes. I mean,
it's all part of. That's where the stigmata shows up on these sainted people that have experienced it.
You know, and it's not necessarily just sainted people who have experienced. You know, people throughout the world who have really no claim. They haven't been canonized. You know, it quite literally has appeared to them out of nowhere. They've experienced it out of nowhere.
When you research it and read on it, there's only like, what is there, 7 or 8 people that have actually been documented and I think most likely recognized by the Catholic Church as
there you go. Yeah.
Receiving stigmata. But I think it has. I believe it's happened more than that, and to common people for whatever reason. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I saw an interesting stat here just recently. Well, I'm looking at it actually because I read it earlier today. A high percentage, over 80% of all stigmatics have been women. I didn't know that.
Really?
That's intriguing.
I did not know that.
I did not know that. And as Mike said there, it's obviously this has been primarily... Whoa, that was a piercing bark there by Miss Macy the doggy.
Well, that was Macy and a rebuttal from the dachshund.
Now, there's one person in particular that I want to spend our time on here when it comes to stigmata, and that is Padre Pio, Mike. That's a name that even, one
of the most recognized and famous, well documented.
Oh gosh, yes. And it is people have claimed to have debunked it, but it really has not been thoroughly scientifically tossed out the window, Mike. It just, they can't do it. They can't.
Right.
Now, just so new listeners kind of understand where we're coming from here. I was raised a Catholic, and so this, I'm not saying it necessarily means any more or any less to me, but it's impactful to me in a way that's different for Mike, perhaps, because Mike, Mike is definitely not a religious person. I'm not a religious person, but Mike wasn't raised in any particular faith-filled household.
Even in my Viking paganism that I follow, I find it quite fascinating.
Oh gosh, yeah.
That was a joke. But yes, it is fascinating. And not having any religious background myself.
There you go. No religious
and I might not have been joking there either, by the way. But anyway, it is fascinating. I think there's something to it. It doesn't matter if you're raised Roman Catholic. It's very possibly an actual, real, holy occurrence. Very
spiritual,
significant. Something very significant about it, about the person that it happens to.
Now, Padre Pio, the example that we want to dive into most, as Mike mentioned, probably the most famous example of a stigmata. Padre Pio was canonized in 2002. He was sainted by Pope John Paul II, posthumously, obviously. I think he passed away in the... Posthumously, yeah, sorry. Mike.
Whatever.
Thank you for correcting
me. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, he passed away in 1968. Born Francesco Forgione. He was given the name of Pius when he joined the Order of Friars.
Gigio.
Minor. God damn it. Now I'm thinking of Papa Giorgio from Vegas Vacation.
No, I'm talking about Ed Sullivan's sidekick, Topo Gigio.
Yeah, no, I got that,
the
but
little
also
mouse puppet.
I know, but
Carry
also,
on.
Okay. Anyways, sorry. Carry on our wayward son. There it is. We did it. Well, I'm scrolling through here because I want to get I want to get these facts right here.
Mm-hmm.
When Padre Pio first noticed his experiences, his physical manifestations of these wounds of Jesus on him. Let's see here. Oh, I actually found a letter that he had written, that Padre Pio had written. It says in a letter to Padre Benedito, his superior and spiritual advisor from San Marco and Lamis, Lamis,
And Gigio.
dated 20.
Sorry.
Would you stop?
I'm sorry.
Dated October 22nd, 1918. Pio described his experience of receiving the stigmata, and this I'm just going to read his letter here verbatim. On the morning of the 20th of last month in the choir, after I had celebrated Mass, I yielded to a drowsiness similar to a sweet sleep. I saw before me a mysterious person, similar to the one I had seen on the evening of August the 5th. The only difference was that his hands and feet and side were dripping with blood. This sight terrified me, and what I felt at that moment is indescribable. I thought I should have died if the Lord had not intervened and strengthened my heart, which was about to burst out of my chest. The vision disappeared, and I became aware that my hands, feet, and sides were dripping blood. Imagine the agony I experienced and continue to experience almost every day. The heart wound bleeds continuously, especially from Thursday evening until Saturday. Dear Father, I am dying of pain because of the wounds and the resulting embarrassment I feel deep in my soul. I am afraid I shall bleed to death if the Lord does not hear my heartfelt supplication to relieve me of this condition. Will Jesus, who is so good, grant me this grace? Will he at least free me from the embarrassment caused by these outward signs? I will raise my voice and will not stop imploring him until in his mercy he takes away not the wound or the pain, which is impossible since I wish to be inebriated with pain, but these outward signs which cause me such embarrassment and unbearable humiliation. The pain was so intense, I began to feel as though I were dying on the cross. To me, that's intriguing that he was in this letter to his Padre Senior at San Marco. Padre Pio was just worried about the embarrassment of everyone seeing his wounds.
Right.
I mean, that adds some legitimacy to me, Mike. Personally, it adds it to me because if you wanted to fake something out and you wanted to garner attention, you'd have to show him your wounds there, buddy.
Right, exactly.
I mean, you have to try and, that's what it's all about. And he's embarrassed about that.
Well, and what is the purpose given to these people that experience this stigmata? It's suffering, it's humiliation, it's the pain. There's got to be a reason for it. Is it at a certain point where somebody reaches a spiritual level where this happens to them, where I don't want to say that they are reaching the level of Jesus Christ, but there's got to be a very specific reason that these specific people are experiencing this. What is it in them? What is it that they are that this afflicts them? And you said the Virgin Mary was there.
It is an affliction. I mean, that's the thing.
But for what reason? It's not to punish these people. I mean, or is it? I don't believe it's a punishment.
No.
There's something highly spiritual about it, to a level that is just unfathomable. I think,
and I am not I'm the wrong person to ask, but some things do linger in me. Man, I was, like I said, raised Catholic. I went to church school, and, it was a big part of my upbringing. But Jesus dying on the cross was all about suffering for our sins. And I really think, and I could be 100% wrong, Mike, but I'm just winging it here. It's a physical reminder to his followers, his disciples, his believers of what he went through for us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's something that is so powerful and so strong. Perhaps maybe he feels that too few people appreciate that. Maybe too few people remember it.
It's a reminder. I was just going to say, yeah.
So, I mean,
and the biggest reminder that I have read about with the stigmata is when I'm going to say it.
Oh Lord,
Padre Giorgio.
Papa Giorgio, yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm sorry. I had to throw that in.
That's okay.
And now we are going to talk to Padre Giorgio.
Yep. Okay.
Yes, thank you for that. I deserve that completely.
You totally deserve that.
But yeah, it is fascinating and it's real. I mean, there's something real about it. I mean, this has gone on for how many decades?
Oh God!
From the first time that this
centuries.
happened.
Yeah, I mean, there. And again, Mike, who's to say how many people have suffered this without anyone ever knowing?
Exactly.
I should say, experience it without ever sharing, without ever telling. I mean, Padre Pio himself was embarrassed. He didn't want people to see his wounds. I mean, how many people have hid their wounds, hid their stories?
Yeah.
I mean, who are we to say? We're running out of time. We have so much we want to dive into. I love these last takes, though, Mike. It says here, once made public, Padre Pio's wounds were studied by a number of physicians, some hired by the Vatican as part of an independent investigation. Some claimed that the wounds were unexplainable and never seemed to have become infected. Despite seeming to heal, they would then reappear periodically. Albert Caserta took X-rays of Pio's hands in 1954 and found no abnormality in his bone structure. Some critics still, however, accuse Pio of faking the stigmata, for example, by using carbolic acid to make the wounds. Maria DeVito, the cousin of a local pharmacist at Foggia, testified that the young Pio bought a little bottle of carbolic acid and 4 grams of Veratrine in 1919. Now, I want to, I have to find, I read this earlier today. I want to find the debunkment of that claim there.
Debunkization.
Where people said that he bought that to fake the wounds himself, where he would basically pour this acid on his hands.
Who would do that?
To make to make these wounds, mix it with 4 grams of Veratrine to make the image of wounds appear on his hands. And I'm not going to find it right now. But in a book that was released in 2005, I'm going off the top of my head. I read this earlier. Book that was released in 2005 debunked that by stating that no, Padre Pio and another member of the church had purchased this carbolic acid with this mixture of the big V word. I forgot what it's called already. Veratrine. I'm sorry, I'm butchering it. Because this was during the peak of the 1919 Spanish flu. And as members of the church, they have been granted permission to sterilize, vaccinate, I guess, for lack of a better term, people who are maybe suffering or could suffer from this illness. They were allowed, and they needed this carbolic acid to sterilize the needles. So
naysayers said, no, that's not what it was for.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They're saying that he was doing it to help prolong this faked stigmata that he was supposedly making up. And I highly encourage people to look up pictures. There, you can find them easily.
You do a Google search of image search of stigmata, and some of the photographs are frightening.
They're very frightening. People gushing blood from their eyes
and everything. Yeah. We're gonna put carbolic acid in our eyes and make it.
Padre Pio himself, who during Mass, his hands are held up and blood is just pouring from his palms.
Yeah.
I don't know, Mike. I know that we're not giving its just due right now because we are running short on time, but we kind of touched on it a little bit. I totally believe in stigmata. Again, it's not because I was raised any particular way, but again, the theme of tonight has basically been why not?
Exactly.
Why not now? I mean, Mike, you may not adhere strictly to Christian beliefs and stuff, but I know that you have an appreciation for what Jesus was all about.
Absolutely.
What a wonderful person he was. If he was a son of God or not, that's totally up to you to believe in or not. What he stood for was beyond beautiful. And it's just, why would this not be possible?
Right.
Why would it not be? I'm not here to say that it isn't. That's for sure.
I'm not here to say that it is or isn't, but it is fascinating. There's no doubt about how fascinating it is. There's no doubt about how stranger things have happened.
They have.
And it means something to so many people. It means something very spiritual and holy and good.
So, Mike, with our, this is one last take. As far as it being something significant of a spiritual / paranormal nature, I am 100% behind stigmata as being legit.
Right. Because,
we have to do our takes here. Where do you lie if you had to choose, Mike, with it being a paranormal / spiritual physical manifestation as opposed to a medical ailment, a rare medical ailment that affects people, just happens to affect them in the exact same places that Jesus suffered his wounds? Where do you sit on that?
I cannot see it as a medical ailment. That just does not, it doesn't fit anything.
Yeah.
I don't know. Talk about, like you said, in those exact spots, the spiritual, and paranormal content there, to me, is something that is extremely possible, and I call it.
Mike's struggling to make a call.
When you start pulling me religion and spiritual and combining them,
I know
it's kind of tough for me, but there's legitimacy to it. I will leave it at that.
Okay, no, I'll take that. That it's. You're taking a stance, but you're leaving it kind of vague at the same time.
I'm doing a Patrick on it, I think.
Hey, I took a 100% stance on this one, man.
Well, yeah, but yeah.
And I did.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, there's got to be something to it.
There has to be, and it's more than just what meets the eye.
And I've never been Catholic.
I know you haven't. I know you've known Catholics. But that's about it.
Yeah.
Mike, that stigmata is something that I wouldn't mind doing an entire episode on, but
we just scratched the surface. I think. I mean,
I think so.
There's so many little blind alleys you can go down and discuss about this kind of thing.
Mike, that a potential topic just popped into my brain, man. Biblical / I don't want to say religious. Well, yeah, biblical miracles, and we can talk about the potential reality of stuff that supposedly was documented. I mean, it wasn't supposedly documented. That was supposedly occurred and was documented in the Bible. How about that? That would be a mind bender for me, especially. You'd probably hate it, but
no. Well, are they legitimate?
That's what I'm saying.
Biblical things that actually happened? Is it a made up story?
Yeah.
Or is it something that has been brought to us by your friendly aliens from the Zeta Reticuli?
I know. Wow. Yeah, I know. I gotcha. It could be any number of things. Well, Mike, we're coming to the point that everyone's been waiting for, I think, right? I think. Where's my drum roll? Where's my drum roll? Because we're coming up on an hour and a half. We're running short on time. So why not waste more time for me looking for the damn drum? I don't know where it is. Oh, here it is. Okay, so the other day was Jaden's 13th birthday.
Oh, wow.
So we've got 3 teenagers now, Mike running around.
Crazy.
13-year-old Jaden, 14-year-old Macy, 15-year-old Cyrus. And I just learned on the drive to town the other day with Jaden in the car and Bridget in the car and blah, blah, blah. I just learned that, well, how can I put this? Jaden told us that late at night, the previous night, she received like a midnight text from Macy. Macy is going like, bro. They call each other bro. They're girls, but they call each other bro.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah, they go, bro. Macy's like, bro, are you up? You won't believe what just happened. Bro, bro, bro. And yada, 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 yada. Anyways, long story short, I learned out that my 14-year-old daughter was just recently asked out on a date for the first time, and I don't know how I feel about that.
Oh, my God. Really?
I'm like, no way, flipping Jose, absolutely not. So we're gonna
Papa Patrick.
Yeah. So anyways,
I have to. One thing.
Sure.
Mary over my shoulder behind me here, watching a wonderful Hallmark Christmas show with the sound off. Just got my attention, and very happily she just told me that she, in the position that she's sitting in, she can see out in the kitchen through the dining room. Right here, she saw the cat.
Oh, just happened to see the damn cat now?
To it as factual enough to get my attention while we're recording.
No kidding.
She just saw the cat.
Oh,
so
Lord.
It is here.
Keep an eye out for it, man.
Yep.
Set up a recorder
Awesome.
or something like that. I lost my train of thought now. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, daughter asked out. That's not going to happen.
Sorry.
No. Anyways, so one thing that we did for Jaden's 13th birthday, Bridget and Cyrus and Jaden and myself went to see Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Yes.
And big time fan. Mike, you and I, huge
absolutely.
fans of the original Ghostbusters. One of the best movies of all time. I'm a fan of part 2 as well, even though so many people hate it.
Absolutely. I loved it when the Titanic docked.
Better late than never. Yeah. So,
yeah. What about the all-female?
I've never seen it. I've heard nothing but bad things about it.
Yep. I've seen little parts of it, and I think that was about enough. I mean, who knows? It might have some fun stuff. I mean, they do have some very funny actors in there, but
I love Kristen Wiig. I love Kate McKinnon.
Oh, she's awesome.
I love Leslie Jones. I mean, they're all great, but I just didn't hear that many good things about
I
them.
haven't heard anything good either. But anyway, go ahead. I'm waiting on.
But like I said, even the sequel, 1989 sequel, most people hate that movie too, and so I don't get.
I didn't hate it.
I mean, I enjoy it. It's definitely not nearly as good as the original, but I still enjoy it, and it's funny, and it's Ghostbusters.
Isn't that the one where we get the famous line from?
It's Vigo. Well, which one?
Why are my drippings with goo?
That's right. Why are my drippings with goo? Yeah. Then why?
He did that part so awesome.
then why are you came? Why are you came?
I do not understand. So why do you say?
Yes. Okay. So we went to Ghostbusters Afterlife. I've been super excited about this movie, especially knowing, yes, I'm an old school guy, and knowing that Dan Aykroyd is executive produced it, knowing that the originals were coming back for however small of a part it would be, it was still cool. Just knowing that they're going to be coming back, and I was excited, and I don't want to give away any spoilers at all. So Mike got there, watched the movie, super excited. The end of the movie came. My opinion is
really?
I hate to say it.
You did not like it?
Okay, I will.
Wasn't Paul Rudd in there?
Yes, and I love Paul Rudd. He's great.
He's awesome.
He's funny. And I will watch the movie again, and maybe I'll have a different reaction to it.
That happened to me with Napoleon Dynamite. I hated it the first time I saw it. The second time I loved it.
Okay.
And can watch it over and over again.
So, without giving, and feel free to ask me any questions, Mike, and I'll keep it as vague as I can. My opinion, my initial opinions, do not go to this movie expecting to laugh. That's just me. It's not, is it not funny. To me, it was not funny at all.
Well, doesn't it have more serious, haunty stuff in it, or more darker, a little darker?
Not.
Or it just wasn't funny.
Not really.
It meant to be funny, but it wasn't.
To me, they were trying to be funny, and it just wasn't. It didn't hit me at all, Mike. I didn't even giggle. I didn't even sit there and go like, like, okay, that's kind of cute, kind of funny. And I want to laugh at stuff, man. I find everything in life humorous. And I will say this, maybe I went in there expecting too much, and maybe I was clinging on to sentimentality a little bit too much, which, by the way, this movie really, really relies on a lot of sentimentality when it comes back to the originals, which is fine. That's great for me. I will say that the plot, I like the idea that the movie was based upon. Mm-hmm. It is totally relying upon one of our favorites, Mike, is totally relying upon and revolved around the storyline of Egon Spengler. Exactly. And Egon Spengler.
Was it a granddaughter that looks very much like him?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Totally revolves around the story of Egon's battle against the evil ghosts and his death fighting the evil ghosts and his afterlife fighting the evil ghosts, essentially. I love that idea. I love it.
It sounds like a great storyline.
Great storyline. The execution, not so much. And I don't want to sound like a flippin' negative Nelly, but I just didn't like the cast. I didn't find them likable. But they were miserable, unhappy people in the movie, and I'm just like, I didn't enjoy watching them on the screen.
Really?
And so it was. I'll wrap it up, and feel free to fire any questions you may have. I'll wrap it up by saying that the last 15 minutes of the movie were great.
Okay.
And that was by far for me the best part of the movie, and I did not expect to get a giant lump in my throat and damn near have a tear fall down my cheek at the end of the movie either. I'll say that because that damn near happened. Bridget had tears. Jaden cried. And Jaden's 13. She didn't grow up with Ghostbusters, for God's sake.
Yeah.
But it was the idea, the ending was cool, by far the best part of the movie for me. Overall, I'd say maybe a 5 out of a 10.
Really?
Yeah.
But you
Jeepers creeper. Your dog's about ready to kill each other. They didn't like my rating. Okay, a 7 out of 10 then. Stop attacking each other. I give it a 7.
Good Lord. But you would still encourage people to go out, see the movie. If they're fans of Ghostbusters, let them form their own opinion.
100%.
They might love it.
100%. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I do have one question.
I'm not telling people to not see it by any means. Not saying that at all. Please go see it. Go see it.
I've seen commercials about the movie, and one thing I remember, and I wanted to ask you about if this scene was any good, because I only saw just a snippet of it, was when Paul Rudd was looked like a grocery store, and there was a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, little one.
He was in a Walmart, yeah.
Okay, and it looked like he was not very nice.
Yeah.
Was that any good?
Oh, there were several tiny little Stay Puft Marshmallow Men.
Was there?
Okay. Yeah. There were several.
Yeah. Well, I know that I'm going to see it. I won't see it in the big theater. I'll wait till I can, watch it at home. But I'm looking forward to see it, and I will just take it for what it is.
Yeah, please do that. And don't let what I just said sway your opinion.
Oh, absolutely.
I want you to enjoy it. Anybody, I want you to enjoy it. there were a couple attempts at like jump scares.
Okay.
You know, like the original one had a couple creepy scenes in it and stuff, you know, and again, I really like Paul Rudd.
Mm-hmm.
But it just didn't grab me, man. It did not grab me, but I will watch it again and maybe I will think better of it.
Give it a second chance.
Yeah.
Was Slimer in it at all?
No Slimer, but a version of a Slime. Well, actually, I take that back. Slimer made a cameo, I think. Yeah. But there was another version. It was kind of like a updated version of Slimer on steroids type stuff. You know,
Yeah.
different color, larger, a little more violent. But
A little more violent.
yeah. But again, man, I'll say this: it's worth the last 15 minutes of the movie. So it was worth it was a matinee, so we only paid $6 a ticket, so it was worth it.
Oh well.
Yeah.
And you saw it in the old famous Park Rapids Theater?
No, we drove to Hackensack. We drove to a Bear
Hackensack.
Yeah, Bear Paws Theater. We like that.
All the way to Hackensack.
Absolutely.
And we're not talking New Jersey.
No, we are not. No. Yeah, I'm not driving that far.
There is a Hackensack in Minnesota.
Whew. So anyways, everyone go see it and let me know your opinions.
Yes, we would love to hear that.
And let us know what you think about Stigmata and Afterlife visits as well. Mike, this has been a blast. Your dogs sound like they're about ready to go nuts and jump out the windows. So that's a sign.
Do something. I don't know.
That's a sign to wrap it up. But hey, Mike, we're coming up an hour and 35 minutes, so we went longer than expected,
Awesome.
but I think it is more than worth it. So let's keep it going,
we
man.
enjoyed it. I know I did. I hope
Absolutely.
the listeners did.
Absolutely. As a reminder, we have awesome guests lined up, and I'm working on more and more each and every week. And someday we'll start landing some of those dream guests. Every guest has been a dream guest.
Absolutely.
But you know what I mean by that. Like
there's not a single guest that's been on that we haven't been just totally enamored with, because they're just fabulous,
and
fantastic. And I would love to talk to them again and again.
And
I just have to say one more time that I still smell tuna.
And the cat's running. You know why the cat's running around? Because he smells the tuna as well. That's what's going on. What the hell?
I don't know. It's weird.
And final reminder, we'd love to see you guys at our Patreon page. Exclusive stuff. You can join up for as little as $1 a month. Exclusive video episodes, awesome video ghost hunting content, audio anomalies, EVPs, all sorts of good things. We got humorous stuff on there, photos, exclusive episodes. We have 26 exclusive episodes out there. You can't find them anywhere else except on our Patreon page. If you enjoy the podcast, you will love our Patreon page. We'd love you guys to give it a try. Give it a shot for 1 month. No obligations. You don't like it, you don't have to pay more than $1.
Yeah.
So,
but unfortunately, we cannot refund your money.
No, that's right. Well, Mike, thank you very much, my friend, for doing this. This was a rare Monday night recording. I got to go and get this so I can get the episode out and get ready to go to work tomorrow. But until then, next time, Mike, what do our awesome listeners need to do?
Like Macy just said, in dog language, it means peace out.